Welcome to the second week of distance learning. It's not so bad. We're getting this down. This week we're going to talk about angle pair relationships. Lots of vocabulary in the beginning of this chapter. The first thing is what are complementary angles, and they are two angles whose sum is 90 degrees. So that means they're going to add together to make 90 degrees. So remember this little symbol right here, the little box, that means that little box indicates 90 degrees. Okay, so if CBD, if angles, the measure of angle CBD, so this part right here is 76, then what is the measure of ABC? I'm going to call it X. Well, do we see how these two angles together form the 90 degree angle? So we're going to go 76 plus X equals 90. I set up an equation to solve for that. And we're going to just subtract 76 from both sides. We're going to get X equals 14. So the measure of angle ABC is 14 degrees. That's how my final answer should be written. Okay, let's look at supplementary angles. I have the shadow of my little camera here. Supplementary angles. Two angles whose sum is 180 degrees. Now here's, see how these two are just very similar? And a lot of people get them mixed up. So one thing I do in class and with you guys is if I have the letter C for complementary and S for supplementary, if I go to turn them into a number, look at this, could easily be turned into 90 degrees, and this one can turn into 180. So I use this C and this S for supplementary to help me remember which one is the 90 and which one is the 180, because that's very similar, so it's easy to get them confused. So that's just a little visual way to help you. So we want to find out if the measure of angle LMP, and you always give the letters in order. So this angle right here, LMP, this in the middle, the vertex is always in the middle. So if this is 62 degrees, what is the measure of PMN, the measure of angle PMN? Well, we're going to set up the same thing. 162 plus X equals 180 degrees. Subtract 62 from both sides. We're going to find out that X is, let's see, I'm going to have to subtract. I'm going to get 8, 7 minus 6 is 1, 118 degrees. So we know that the measure of angle PMN equals 118 degrees. Now something that's interesting about supplementary angles and complementary angles, they don't necessarily have to touch. So I can have up here an angle here that's say 30 degrees and another angle here that's 60 degrees, and these two angles would be complementary. Same with supplementary, they don't have to touch, but when they do touch, when supplementary angles share a common side, okay, when they share a common side, they're called a linear pair. Okay, so this is a linear pair, and look at, see how I make a rainbow, and I made this up last year. This, it makes a little rainbow, and where do rainbows exist? They exist in lovely places, and linear pair, lovely place, another little acronym to help you remember, right? Because I'm not always going to be there by your side when you're doing your homework. Okay, let's look at vertical angles. Vertical angles are the same measure and across from one another, They also kind of make a V, like an upside down V. So the measure angle AED and angle BEC are vertical angles. These are vertical angles here. And if I was told that if x is 23 degrees, here we go, we want to find the measure of all the other angles. So if x is 23 degrees, these two are the vertical angles. So this is 23 degrees also because they have the same measure. But do you see how these angles here form a V and they touch right here? It's just a sideways V. It's going like this. Okay? They are also congruent, or the same measure. And check this out. I see that right here I have a little rainbow. Okay, so that's a linear pair. So I can figure out this if a linear pair is the same as supplementary, and it adds up to 180. So if I take 180 minus 23, I'm going to get 157. So I know that this is 157. And I don't have to do any math to figure out this side, and I could have made a rainbow from here to here or here to here. But I know that vertical angles are congruent, so that's also 157. So it's asking me to determine the measures. So the measure of angle AEC equals 157 degrees. The measure of angle DEB also equals 157 degrees. And the measure of angle CEB equals 23 degrees. Let's make my 3 a little bit prettier. 23 degrees. There we go. We've answered that problem. Okay, congruent angles. Congruent angles are angles with the same measure. Basically, they're the same size and shape. Remember when we talked about congruent polygons? Oh, that was in the future. Or in geometry. Or maybe last year you might have talked about it in Integrated Math 1. But things with the same size and shape are congruent. So vertical angles are congruent, but they have to form this little V. Congruent angles could just be like a 30-degree angle and a 30-degree angle. Those two angles are congruent. Now it says here, which pairs are congruent? Well, this is the same question as above. So we know that angle AED, this is the symbol for congruent, is congruent to angle CEB. So congruent is an equal sign with a little squiggly on top. Okay? And so we know that these two are congruent. I'll do this in a different color. And then these two are congruent. So then angle AEC is congruent to angle DEB. And what other relationships can we see? Now, one of the things we keep wanting to keep aware is that when I have a straight line here, I have a linear pair. There's actually lots of linear pairs, but we're going to focus on one. Linear pairs are formed. And so an example of one of those linear pairs is right here, DEB. Angle DEB is a linear pair with angle CEB. I could have said AED is a linear pair with DEB. I could have said AED is a linear pair with AEC. Anything that forms a straight line. So like, see how these two right here, or I could have gone the other way. So linear pair. Let's do a couple of practice problems. Okay. Here we go. What is the measure of M and P? Well, we're going to have to use the angle relationship, so it'd be really good to have that first page of notes that we just took out while we're doing these problems. And we're going to see here that I can form a rainbow or a linear pair, and I know the linear pair means that those two angles are supplementary, and supplementary are two angles who add to make 180. So this is 10x equals 180. Divide by 10, we're going to get x equals 18. And we want to know the measure of angle MNP. So this side right here, we want to know what that is. I'm not just going to say 18 because I have to do 3 times 18. 3 times 18, we're going to get our calculator out, and we get that it's 54, so 54 degrees. So the measure of angle MNP equals 54 degrees. You should have the whole sentence for your answer. Okay, let's look at the next problem. All right. Now, these little arc marks right here are one way to tell us that things are congruent. Okay, if this arc mark right here is the same as that arc mark, that means they're equal to each other. So I can create an equation, 4x minus 5 is equal to 3x plus 2. And now you see why we practiced solving equations in the last unit. We're going to subtract 3x from both sides. We're going to get x, or 1x minus 5 equals 2. I'm going to add 5 to both sides. We're going to get x equals 7. All right, so I'm going to feel like I'm done. But remember, I have to go back. The measure of FGH. FGH is this 3x plus 2. We just found out that x was 7. So when we solve that, we get 21 plus 2 equals 23. So the measure of angle FGH equals 23 degrees. Here's my answer. All right? All right, big. You guys should be okay. Next problem. All right, what does that box mean again? That box tells us that those are 90 degrees. So if I take this angle here and this angle down here, and I add them together, 2x minus 4 plus, so that whole thing, plus x plus 7 equals 90 degrees. So we're going to combine like terms. Here's 2x and 1x makes 3x. A negative 4 combined with a positive 7 is a positive 3 equals 90. We're going to subtract 3 from both sides. We're going to get 3x equals 87. Divide this side by 3, divide this side by 3. And what is 87 divided by 3? It goes in there twice. That's 6, 27. 3 goes in there 9 times. So x is going to be 29. X is 29. And again, what are we asked for? The measure of angle DBC. DBC. So I have to do the x plus 7. We just found out that x was 29 plus 7 equals 36. So my answer is the measure of angle DBC equals 36 degrees. Okay, not too bad. Let's look at the next one. What is the measure of angle NPM? Well, this side right here is the same as that side right there. Okay, so we know this is going to be the same as that, but it doesn't help me out. But I do notice that I can make a little rainbow right here, and that tells me that this side right here, the x plus 28 plus the x, those two together make a linear pair. A linear pair is supplementary, and supplementary angles add up to 180. So we're going to add this together. 2x plus 28 equals 180. We're going to subtract 28 from both sides, and we're going to get 152 equals 2x. Divide both sides by 2, and we're going to get x equals 76 degrees, right? So that's not my final answer because I have to plug it into here. X plus 28, or what did we say? 76 plus 28 equals 90, 104 degrees. So the measure of angle NPM equals 104 degrees. Okay. All right. I'm going to start a second video. So finish copying that down, and we'll have another short video.